The email hit at 8:46 a.m., 15 minutes before the strategy all hands. Subject line: Zurich rotation. Final assignments confirmed. I opened it calmly. I already knew what it would say. Until I didn't. Celine Rivas, Zurich rotation lead. The screen stayed still. My name wasn't there. I scrolled. Scanned. Searched again, nothing. The glass door clicked behind me. Celine's voice floated in. "Oh my God, you saw it," she said to no one in particular. "Zurich, baby." I turned. She beamed at me like we were in on something together. "You're coming to the all hands, right? Big day. You're leading Zurich," I said, flat. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Surprised me too. Andreas just called me in yesterday. Said they needed someone with, let's say, more cultural flexibility." "Is that what he said?" She smiled wider. "Something like that." I nodded. Walked past her. Calm. My chair creaked as I sat, the open email still up like evidence. The conference room filled slowly. People laughed, whispered. I didn't speak. Andreas walked in at 9:01. Clean suit, cold presence. He used to stop by my desk. Now, nothing. "Morning, everyone," he said. "First, congrats to Celine for taking Zurich. It's a competitive spot and well-earned." A few claps. I didn't move. Celine tilted her head toward me, smiled like she'd won a game I didn't know we were playing. Andreas moved on. Cue to strategy. Revenue performance. Org shifts. I wrote notes with mechanical focus, each bullet clean. My handwriting didn't shake when it ended. People rose. I stayed seated. Andreas gathered his laptop. I stood. "Andreas," I said quietly. A moment. He blinked. "Of course." The others filed out. I shut the door gently. "I'd like clarity on Zurich." His eyes flicked to the table. It was a senior decision. I was told I was the lead candidate. For months, there were multiple strong candidates, and I was one of them. He exhaled. Celine showed new leadership qualities. When? Last quarter? When she failed to close Langston Group and handed it off to me. His jaw tightened. "It's not personal." "No. But it is political." He looked at me then. Really looked. "This isn't the place." "Then where is?" A pause. "I'll speak with Marla," he said finally. "You should too." "Will that change anything?" He didn't answer. Just walked out. Marla's office had always smelled like lavender, too soft for the sharpness she carried behind her eyes. She looked up when I knocked. "You heard." I did. Closed the door. I sat opposite her, legs crossed, calm. "I'm not here to protest," I said. "Just to understand." She nodded. "You were flagged as a high fit. That didn't change." Then, Andreas shifted his preference this week. No documentation. No feedback. No. None formal. So, what was said informally? She hesitated. Between U.S. Celine positioned herself as more agile, more socially adaptive. She mentioned team dynamics. I stared. She said I was a problem. She didn't use that word. She didn't need to. Silence. "I've been on every 2 a.m. client call," I said. "I repaired our relationship with Senate Capital after she botched the numbers, and I coached her through the Marwell deck. I know. And yet she gets Zurich." Marla's voice softened. "You built the road. She danced on it." I didn't blink. "That's poetic. Not useful." She leaned forward. "Be careful how you play this. Your reputation is still intact. For now." "For now," she agreed. Back at my desk, Celine hovered with a coffee in hand. Hey, she said. No hard feelings, right? I turned to her slowly. Should there be? She laughed. Oh, come on. You've been here longer. That doesn't always mean better fit. You're amazing. But Andreas and I, we just click. Click. I imagined a lock sliding into place. Quiet. Final. Well, I said. Voice calm. Congrats. She grinned. Thanks. I really hope you'll be involved somehow. I mean, you're like the backbone. I stared at her. Maybe I'll call you for backup when Zurich goes sideways, she added. I don't do backup. She blinked. Kidding. No. You weren't. The coffee in her hand tilted slightly. I watched a drop spill onto her suede sleeve. She looked down. Shit. I smiled. Better get that out before it sets. In the elevator down, alone, I saw our reflections in my mind. Mine, composed. Hers, shimmering. Zurich wasn't about the city, it was about the seat. She took mine. And that was her first mistake. Asterisk, the office had its own temperature, social, not physical. Mine dropped 5 degrees into days. Meetings ran without me. Threads continued above my name. Tasks I built were quietly reassigned. No announcement. Just air, thinner than before. Martin knocked on my desk mid-morning. Got a sec? Sure. He slid into the chair. Did you mean to pull me off the Elburn strategy? I didn't. Celine briefed me this morning. Said I'd be reporting to her this quarter. My pen stopped moving. Did she now? He frowned. She said you were shifting focus? Interesting. I wasn't told. Martin looked uncomfortable. If I messed something up. You didn't. He hesitated. Okay, just let me know if anything changes again. I will. He left. I opened a new spreadsheet. Titled it Transfers. Q2. First row. Martin Cruz. Time, date, context in the kitchen. Julia stood by the espresso machine, her mug shaking slightly as she pressed the button. You're up early, I said. She flinched, then smiled. Yeah, thought I'd get a head start. On Zurich. Her lips parted, then closed. No, just regular stuff. I stepped beside her. You were in the sink yesterday. She stared into the swirling coffee. Yes. Anything you want to share? She glanced at the door, lowered her voice. I thought you were on Zurich. Everyone did. So did I. Julia bit her lip. Celine said you passed. That you were stretched thin. I nodded slowly. She's been saying that to a few people, hasn't she? I didn't believe it. But you didn't say anything either. She looked at me then, eyes honest. I didn't know what to say. You just did. Thursday. Team check-in. 10 faces on screen. Muted smiles. I joined on time. Celine ran it. Andreas asked me to keep us moving while he's on site, she said. Let's keep this tight. She shared a deck. My deck. Color scheme shifted. Footer scrubbed. I unmuted. That's the Senate pipeline projection I compiled. Celine blinked. Yes, I mentioned your input to Andreas. No, you didn't. A beat. Well, we've iterated a few pieces since your draft. Where's the attribution? I didn't realize we were doing formal sourcing. We weren't. Until now. Silence. Then Andreas's voice, tight from the speaker. Let's move forward. I muted. Watched my own work pass by without my name. Added another row to the spreadsheet. Julia found me in the stairwell 2 days later. I shouldn't be talking to you, she said. Then why are you? Because it's wrong. What is? All of it. You being cut out. I'm not cut. I'm being slowly erased. Her voice dropped. I think Andreas is trying to smooth it over. He thinks letting it fade will make it easier. For him. Yes. I watched her. What do you want, Julia? I want to keep my job. Then say nothing. I also want to sleep at night. Then say something. Friday, 4:42 p.m. Slack ping. Andreas Muller. Let's pause your involvement. On Elburn for now. Celine will take point. Appreciate your flexibility. I stared at it for 6 seconds. Then typed. Noted. Close the thread. Monday, 7:12 a.m. Martin walked in holding 2 coffees. One's for you, he said. Bribery? Peace offering. You don't owe me that. He sat. You built this process. Now she's calling it hers. I noticed. Is no one going to say anything? Not yet. He looked at me. You're writing it down, aren't you? Yes. He exhaled. Good. By Wednesday, I had 9 project changes documented, 7 unacknowledged shifts, 3 comments misattributed, 1 slide deck overwritten. Andreas walked by without looking at me. I waited, then rose, followed him to the printer bay. Andreas. He stopped. Yes. Are you delegating all of my active work to Celine? His eyes flicked to the copier. Not all. Most. She's stepping up. I was already up. He paused. This isn't about your performance. Then, what is it? Team dynamics. Visibility. Visibility. I said softly. You used to see me just fine. He straightened. Let's not do this here. Where would you prefer? I'll check with Marla. I nodded. You do that. Julia passed me in the hall. You okay? Not yet. She nodded. I'm here. At 8:01 p.m. I exported the spreadsheet to a secure folder, printed a backup, stapled the pages neatly. I added a cover sheet, cue to roll transition tracking, compiled by my name, date stamped. Signed. I placed it in my drawer, let it cool. Asterisk asterisk. We sat at the corner cafe 3 blocks from the office. Julia stirred her tea like she was trying to make it disappear. I didn't mean to say anything, she murmured. But you did. I said, her hand stilled. It slipped. I thought you already knew. Say it again. She looked up. Guilty. Celine told Andreas you were burned out. That you've been stretched too thin for high-trust work. Her exact words. She said you'd lost perspective. That you couldn't carry critical weight anymore. I leaned back. And Andreas believed her. She was subtle. It wasn't a full-on attack. More like careful hints. Hints don't get people removed from Zurich. She's been laying it down for months. Little comments, always with a smile. Give me an example. She'd say things like, she's incredible, but she hasn't been sleeping. Or, I think she needs space to breathe, she's been grinding too hard. She made my discipline sound like instability. Julia nodded slowly. Yeah. And then she started talking like you. I narrowed my eyes. What do you mean? She started using your phrasing, your formatting style, even the way you structure agendas, imitation and sabotage. She positioned it like she was supporting you, but it always ended with her being the safer bet. I didn't speak. I'm sorry, she whispered. Why are you telling me now? Because I watched you carry us through Q1. And I stayed quiet. And now I can't sleep. At the office, I watched Celine from the doorway of the glass meeting pod. She laughed, head tilted, wrist resting on the table just like I used to. The others leaned in, like gravity pulled them closer. Later, she passed me near the elevator. "Hey," she said, sipping her smoothie. "Everything okay? You tell me." She smiled, still salty about Zurich. "You gave Andreas your opinion of me. People talk. You told him I was a risk. I told him you were tired. You told him I was burned out." She laughed lightly. "We're all burned out." He asked how you were handling the pressure. I answered. You framed it like concern, but it was a disqualifier. Her face didn't change. "You think I control Andreas? I think you played him. And played me." She stepped closer. "If you want to fight, fight fair. But don't come at me with paranoia. Paranoia would require uncertainty. I have facts." Oh, her tone shifted. "Careful. Grudges don't read well in performance reviews. Neither does plagiarism." She blinked. "Just once." "I see your slide templates." I added. "Your color codes. The structure of your emails. I learned from the best," she said. "No. You copied the best. Then you rewrote the credits. Don't be dramatic. You're not worth drama." Her jaw locked, but she smiled again. "Let it go." "Not yet." Back at my desk, Julia hovered by the edge. "Everything okay?" she asked softly. Celine confirmed it. Julia looked down. "She's more tactical than I gave her credit for," I added. "She doesn't even think she's lying. No. She thinks she's winning." "What are you going to do?" "Document. Watch. Let her keep talking." Julia hesitated. "You should know she's been mentoring Martin." I turned. "Since when?" She pulled him into her pod last week. Said she sees promise in him. "He's my analyst. I don't think he knows the full picture." "He will." That evening, I stayed late. The floor dimmed around me, screens blinking off one by one. I opened the Zurich prep file. My name had been scrubbed from the comments. Her initials were everywhere. Footprints in the snow, left by my own boots. Celine was smart, strategic, but too confident. She thought I was gone. I wasn't gone. I was waiting. Asterisk, the last time Andreas and I had lunch, he'd told me, "You could run this office in 5 years." That was 6 months ago. Since Zurich, his messages shrank to bullet points. Meetings were curt. Praise vanished. I sat in a conference room with my laptop open, the door shut behind me. I scrolled through our message history, months of notes, feedback, thought sharing. Then a slow decline. Short replies, delays, then nothing in the shared drive. I clicked through folders, client _priority _Q1 final _deck _revas. I opened it. Slide 1. My structure. Down to the cadence of the title slide. Slide 4. My charts. Last. Slide. No mention of me. Her initials on the file. And at the top, the approval timestamp. Signed off by Andreas. I took a screenshot. I waited by the window outside his office. He emerged at 6:15, coat slung over his shoulder. "Andreas." He paused. "Evening. I need 5 minutes." He looked at his watch. "Walking or sitting?" "Walking." We stepped into the elevator. "I came across a client deck you approved last week." I said, double quotes, "Yes?" "It was mine." "Rebranded." He didn't answer. "Same data, same layout, same client pull-through points." "Are you sure?" "I can pull the metadata." He exhaled through his nose. "Sometimes files get passed around. This one was renamed. Celine said she was iterating on an old structure. She didn't. She passed it off as her original. He didn't argue. I continued. You reviewed it. You approved it. She submitted it cleanly. On time. And I suppose that's the standard now? I'm not going to interrogate every internal file. Not every file. Just the ones you used to mentor me through. The parking lot came into view. He stopped walking. She's efficient, he said. And she reads people well. She manipulates them better. She hasn't broken protocol. She's erased my contribution. His voice dropped. You want me to reopen this? No. I want to know when you decided I wasn't worth protecting. That landed. I haven't made that decision. You made it the day you stopped asking for my review. The day you let someone else wear my work. Andreas looked away. You're taking this personally. Yes, I said. Because it is. He rubbed the bridge of his nose. You built good things. But lately, you've been different. Different how? Guarded. Controlled. You mean strategic. He didn't reply. She's mirroring me, I said. And you didn't notice. Or you did. And let it happen. I'm not the villain here. No. But you've gone quiet while one walks in. Andreas unlocked his car. I'll look into the file. Do more than look. He opened the door. You were the one I trusted most. Don't make me regret that. I held his gaze. Then stop behaving like you already do. He got in without another word. Back at my desk, I opened the archived version of the deck from 3 months ago, side by side with Celine's. Line for line, color for color. In the metadata, original author, my name modified by Krivas approved. Amuleri sent it to my private email, labeled chain of custody, client _ deliverable, internal review encrypted, archived. Then I closed my laptop and let the silence deepen. ***, I called in personal leave. 3 days. No out of office. No explanation. I packed my laptop, left the city, and drove north to the cabin Nathan kept stocked for weekends when we forgot who we were. The silence helped. I laid it all out. Drive folders, Slack logs, forwarded emails, shared decks. Every file that had changed hands, every line of metadata Celine thought no one would check. I wasn't unraveling a betrayal. I was building a timeline. On day 2, I called Leah. Still in litigation. I asked when she answered. Still making grown men cry. What's going on? I need you off the record. That's my favorite kind. I leaned back. I have a colleague who's been lifting my work, reframing my reputation, and getting senior sign-off on both. Plagiarism? Yes. Defamation? In the corporate kind. Whispers? Tone? Repositioning me as unfit. What's your rank? Senior consultant. No direct reports, but a lot of visibility. Used to be on track for Zurich rotation. She took it. Leah paused. And what do you want? Blood or proof? Reclamation. Smart. No emotion in that word. Send me what you have. I'll encrypt it. Obviously. Subject line. Inventory. That night, Nathan grilled steaks outside while I moved spreadsheets around like chess pieces. Okay, he said, stepping in from the porch. You've had 3 coffees, 0 actual meals. And I just heard you whisper metadata like it was a threat. I smirked. I'm close. He sat across from me. Tell me. She took my Zurich slot. Claimed I was burned out. Then she started repackaging my files. Even my templates. That's theft. It's corporate camouflage. She never takes too much, just enough to seem original. And the higher-ups bought it. Andreas did. He was my mentor. Now he rubber stamps her copies. Nathan frowned. So, what's the move? I'm building a map. Timeline, names, approvals. A version history she can't delete. He leaned in. Are you doing this to win something back? Or to make them see her? Both. He studied me. You sound surgical. I am? He nodded. Good. You were always better at strategy than vengeance. ***. Leah called at noon the next day. You've got her dead to rights on to counts, she said. Plagiarism, clear metadata, theft, and reputational damage. If we spin it right. Spin it. She used language that reframed you as unstable. In HR terms, that's career sabotage, especially if it came without formal review. There was no review, just silence. Perfect. You've documented everything. Yes, timestamps, approvals, message threads, even Julia's admission. Witness testimony. Reluctant, but on record. You want me to draft something? No, not yet. Then what do you want? A framework. If I decide to escalate. Leah's tone sharpened. Then you need one more thing. What? Demonstrated loss. You were taken off Zurich. If that had financial or promotive impact, we have leverage. It did. Then you're sitting on a live wire. I don't want to sue. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying you need to act like you might. I nodded, though she couldn't see it. Got it. And don't tell anyone. Not HR, not Andreas. Not yet. Understood. Nathan poured me a whiskey that night. We sat on the porch while pine needles whispered above us. You going nuclear? He asked. No. You look like you want to. I want to win. He smiled. Same difference. I looked out at the trees. I just want my name back. You'll get it. I'll take it. **I requested 15 minutes on his calendar. No subject line, no preamble. Andreas opened the door exactly on time. Come in. His office was sharp, spare, cold. I placed a printed packet on the table between us. What's this? He asked. A timeline. He didn't move. Of contributions, ownership, approval chains, context. You'll see it on page 2. He flipped it open. Silence followed. She reused your deliverables, he said finally. She repackaged them, rebranded them. With your approval. I didn't realize. You did. You just didn't look. He frowned. That's not fair. What part? He looked at the header again. Did you compile this for HR? No. For you. Why? Because you taught me to solve quietly. He leaned back. And what's the ask? No ask. Just the facts. Revenge. Recognition. He studied me. Why now? Because I want Zurich back. Not the assignment. The position. The place I earned. Andreas closed the folder. I'll read this more carefully. You already know enough. His eyes met mine. Give me a few days. 3 days passed without a word. On the 4th, 9:13 a.m., I got a meeting invite. Subject line, Legacy Client Strategy, Co-Pitch Organizer, Andreas Muller. Attendees, me. Andreas. No Celine. We met in the old war room on 12. He gestured to the chairs. Thank you for joining. I assume you saw the folder. I read every page. And you were right. I sat. Langston is back in. He continued. They want a strategy reframe. I told them we'd have our strongest minds in the room. Who else is coming? Just us. For now. And Celine. I haven't looped her in. I nodded. You will. He paused. Only if necessary. I opened my laptop. What's the angle? They've restructured. Board wants to cut US consulting hours. We need to prove value. Fast. Data. They sent us a usage breakdown. You'll have access by noon. Who's presenting first? You. I looked up. Me. You know their language. And you never needed a warm-up act. Andreas leaned forward. I made a mistake. You made several. I let noise cloud my judgment. You let someone take my place. He didn't flinch. I did. And now I want the room to see what I forgot. I closed my laptop. Then we start with slide 7. Cost to impact ratios. We worked late. Clear. Clean. Professional. No warmth. But no edge at 7:40 p.m. Andreas rolled his sleeves up and said, I miss this. Efficiency. Clarity. I didn't answer. He hesitated. She was convincing. She studied me. She mimicked you. And you encouraged it. I did. He admitted. Because it was easier. And now I remember how hard excellence really looks. I met his gaze. Don't confuse ease for strength. Again. I won't. Pitch day. Langston's VP watched me with sharp eyes. By slide 4, he leaned in. I drove the case forward with precision. No flash. No filler. Andreas spoke only when asked after. As the room cleared, he said quietly, Well, executed. I know. He smiled, barely. You want Zurich. I want what I've earned. You've made that clear. I'm not asking. You're not. He agreed. And that's why you'll get more than you asked for. Back at my desk, Julia dropped a sticky note on my keyboard. It read, Nice work today. Everyone noticed. I folded it once, slipped it into the same folder where I kept my documentation. The ledger was still open, but the balance had shifted. Celine requested the meeting through Marla. Subject. Clarification request. Project rolls time. 11:30 a.m. Attendees. Celine Rivas. Andreas Muller. My name. I arrived 2 minutes early. Andreas was already seated. Celine walked in right on time, smile taut, eyes bright with calculation. Thanks for making time, she said, closing the door behind her. Andreas nodded. Let's keep this efficient. I agree, she said, placing her tablet on the table. I've noticed a breakdown in alignment, specifically around account visibility and project distribution. Go on, I said. I wasn't looped into the Langston pitch, she said, keeping her tone light. Despite managing that relationship for over a quarter. You submitted one edited deck, I replied. You didn't manage the account. I engaged them directly. You mean after I revived the relationship post Q1 fallout? Andreas raised a hand. Let's stick to facts. Of course, I said, pulling a folder from my bag. Would you like documentation? Celine hesitated. Excuse me. I opened the folder. Email threads. File version histories. Meeting notes. All time stamped. You're mentioned twice both after delivery. She glanced at Andreas. I wasn't told this was going to be an ambush. It isn't, I said. This is clarification. You requested it. Celine's smile thinned. I'm just saying the lines are blurred. They were. Until now. Andreas shifted in his seat. Celine, did you flag your deck as a revision of hers? I used some of her framework. Yes. And the data. Also, sourced from shared files. So, not original, I said calmly. I never claimed sole authorship. You removed my name. I assumed it was internal. It went to the board. She blinked. Andreas spoke again. We're not here to assign blame. We're here to resolve it. Then let's talk about what's really happening, Celine said, voice rising. She's retaliating. I turned to her. For what? You've been undermining me for weeks, whispering to Julia, marginalizing my input. You took Langston just to make a point. No, I said. I took Langston because they asked for someone competent. Her mouth parted. Wow. I met her gaze. You built your strategy on charm. I built mine on proof. You think you're better. No. I know my work stands without spin. Celine looked at Andreas again. You're just going to sit there. I'm listening, he said carefully. I built momentum in this office. I delivered. You recycled, I said. She turned to me, brittle. You're not the only one who knows how to play the game. True, I said, sliding another sheet forward. But you played sloppily. Her face changed. Real fear. A flicker. Andreas took the paper. Read it. Quiet. I don't want this to become hostile, Celine said, voice smaller. Then stop acting like it already has. She stood. I didn't come here to be attacked. No, I said. You came here thinking I wouldn't be ready. She stared at me for a second too long, then left. Andreas looked at the folder again. I'll handle it. I already have. I stood, calm. But thank you for catching up. Then I walked out. Let her feel the door close. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Marla called it a neutral conversation. It's not disciplinary, she said over the phone. Just internal clarity. You've been mentioned in recent concerns. Concerns raised by, I can't name parties yet, but your names come up as context. I smiled. That's a careful way to say Celine started this. Marla paused. Are you available tomorrow at 10? Yes. I'll bring documentation. The review panel sat in a borrowed conference room. Glass walls, muted blinds, 3 HR reps. Marla in the center, she gestured. Please. I handed over a slim folder. No commentary. What are we looking at? Asked a man I didn't know. A chain of internal file transfers, Slack messages, and to instances of metadata manipulation. I said, do you claim authorship of these deliverables? I don't claim it. I can prove it. Marla flipped a page. This email is from Celine to Andreas? Yes. Note the phrasing. My revised strategy deck. Time stamped to hours after my original. Another woman on the panel asked, did you confront her? No. Why not? I wanted you to see it first. Marla raised her eyes. You've had this compiled for some time. I've had this ready since she took my Zurich slot under false pretenses, which you also document here, Marla noted. Yes. With Julia's confirmation. They paused. Julia Jung submitted a statement. One asked, voluntarily. An hour later, Julia found me by the elevator. They called me in. She whispered, I know. I told the truth. Not everything, but enough. You didn't have to. She nodded. I did. You've always carried weight without noise. That matters. Did they pressure you? No. But they were listening. Good, I said. That's all I need. By Friday, the office shifted. Celine's desk was cleared of post-its and charm. She didn't speak. Her laugh vanished. From the hallway, Martin stopped sitting near her. At 3 o'clock, Marla called me in again. We've opened an internal review, she said. Celine's been placed on limited access. And we're following protocol, which is independent investigation, interviews, temporary role redistribution. Will she keep her title? For now. Understood. Marla studied me. You've been calm throughout. There was no need for panic. Most would've raised hell. I prefer results. She smiled faintly. You're not done, are you? I'm just where I need to be. I walked out without a sound. No victory lap. Just air. Clean. Uncluttered. Asterisk the subject line read. Internal announcement. Zurich rotation leadership sent from Andreas's account. Addressed firm-wide. I opened it calmly. We are pleased to confirm that my name will lead the Zurich rotation effective immediately. Her leadership, strategic clarity, and long-standing client trust make her the natural choice to guide this initiative forward. Nothing ambiguous. Nothing shared. My name, my title, my place. I read it once. Then again when Andreas stepped into my office. 10 minutes later. You saw it. I did. He stood in the doorway like a guest. It was overdue. Yes, you could have demanded it sooner. I could have. But I don't trade in demands. He nodded. I know that now. I set my pen down. Why now? Because the air cleared. Because the work always pointed to you. I was just too slow to say it. You weren't slow, I said. You were complicit. He blinked. I don't need an apology, I added. I need alignment. You have it. Then we move forward. Andreas exhaled. You know, the team respects you more now than ever. They respected me before, I said. Now they remember why. Julia found me at the espresso machine. Read the note, she said. I figured. I'm glad. Me too. She leaned against the counter. Celine didn't come in today. I know. Well, people are talking. Let them. Julia looked at me. You didn't just get your role back. I didn't want it back, I said. I wanted it right. In the hallway, Martin caught up to me. I wanted to say congrats. Thank you. I didn't see the whole picture before. You weren't supposed to. I should have asked more questions. You were new. She made it easy not to. Martin lowered his voice. If you're building a Zurich team, I'd like to be considered. I paused. Looked him over. Show me your next deck, I said. Let it speak first. He smiled. Fair. At 6 o'clock, I shut down my monitor. Packed nothing. Left nothing. The elevator doors opened, and Andreas stepped in beside me. You still working late? He asked. No. Just long enough. He nodded. Zurich's going to be different with you there. I know. Do you want to talk transition? Plans this week? No, I said. I want you to handle the fallout. He didn't argue. I will. Quietly, of course. We stood in silence for one floor, then he said, Thank you for not making this louder. I looked at him. I didn't need to shout. Andreas. He nodded once. You made your point. No, I said. I made my place. The elevator opened. I walked out. The corridor ahead was clean. Mine. Lee arrived 15 minutes late, unapologetic, a single gold ring catching the candlelight as she slid into the booth. I argued with a partner who thinks PowerPoint is a litigation strategy, she said, tossing her coat beside her. He lost. Barely. I smirked. Still undefeated. Emotionally. Absolutely not. She raised a brow. But I did hear someone got reinstated to Zurich. I accepted quietly. You always do. That's what makes it sting. I took a sip. Celine hasn't shown her face since. She will. She's not done pretending she has dignity. I'm not interested in her story anymore. Leah nodded. Good. Yours is better. We ordered drinks. She scanned me as the waiter walked away. You've shifted, she said. How? You used to want justice. Now you want distance. I want leverage. Even better. She leaned in. So, what's next? I've been thinking about building something. Say more. A consultancy. Just mine. Strategic architecture. Niche. Agile. Lean. She smiled. You've already written the proposal, haven't you? Not yet. You drafted it in your head 6 months ago. I laughed. Maybe. What's stopping you? Nothing now. Leah tilted her glass toward mine. Then here's to starting clean. Later, at her apartment, she tossed her heels aside and poured wine without asking. I read the documentation you sent, she said. Your notes. Your audit trail. Your language. You mean the one that made HR sit upright? No, she said. The one that made me proud. I sat on the floor beside her bookshelf. Andreas never saw me coming. Because you didn't come for him. He was her armor. No, she said, settling across from me. He was your mirror. She just used the reflection. I stared at her. You think you won because you reclaimed your seat, Leah said. But you're still sitting at someone else's table. I didn't speak. She leaned forward. You don't need their rooms. I know. You don't need their approval. I know. You don't need Andreas. I never did. She smiled. Say it like you mean it. I never did. Good? She poured more wine. Now go build your own table. By midnight, I was home, shoes off, laptop open, new document. Header, Independent Strategic Advisory Model, Framework subtitle, not for their eyes. Line by line. I began not for them, for me. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. I heard about the move from Julia. They reassigned her to the compliance pod, she said, voice low. Lateral. No title. No team. Just a desk and a task list. And the story, officially. It's capacity balancing. Unofficially. People know. How loud? Loud enough that Martin won't look her in the eye. I nodded. Quiet justice. 2 days later, I passed her in the break room. She stood by the sink, watching the coffee drip, hands still. I reached for a glass and she turned, saw me, looked down. Morning, I said. No response. Just the clink of ceramic as she moved her mug. You don't have to avoid me, I added. I'm not, she said without looking. I poured water. How's compliance? She smiled without her eyes. Temporary. I'm sure they told you that. She didn't reply. You never had to lie, I said. I didn't lie. I maneuvered. I faced her. You miscalculated. I underestimated you, she corrected. Everyone did. I nodded once. That's not my problem. She stepped back, hand tightening on her mug. You win. No, I said. I'm done. She looked at me, just for a moment. There was no fire left. I really thought I could take it all, she said quietly. I know. I watched you, studied how you moved. You copied what you saw. You missed what I didn't show. She blinked. I opened the door. Finish your coffee, Celine. She didn't speak again. That afternoon, the hallway felt wider, not cleaner. Not lighter. Just cleared. Asterisk the office was smaller than Zurich's corner suite but higher. Clean lines. No nameplate on the door. Just glass and light. And silence. I set my bag on the windowsill. No desk clutter. No photos. Just a view of the city that once felt like a ceiling. Julia knocked on the frame. It's real. It is. No title outside yet. Don't need one. She stepped inside. They're already talking. Calling it your consultancy. I haven't announced anything. You don't have to. It's obvious. I glanced at the blank wall. What do they think I'm building? Whatever you want, she said, and no one's trying to take it this time. Later, I called Leah. Settled in? She asked. First day. Feels quiet. Good quiet or dangerous quiet? Neutral. Useful. She laughed. You sound different. I am you. Keeping the office. For now. Clients? Lining up. Team? Carefully chosen. You'll need one lieutenant, she said. Someone who listens fast and talks slow. I have someone in mind. She paused. How's it feel? Being free. Better than revenge. That's because it's not revenge. It's return. By 5. The light hit the far wall like gold. I stood by the window, watching the streetlights flicker on. No audience. No score to settle. Just my breath. My name and room. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk.